Okay, welcome everyone to Living at Home Network Platform User Training number 4. In this training, we're going to cover forms, data tools, administration, and dBot. So let's start, of course, by taking a look at the Living at Home Network platform. As I've mentioned in previous trainings, there are 3 main components to the platform. There's ways that the system will interact with your website, which we'll be talking about extensively today with forms, registration forms, subscription forms, and the form builder itself. There's the portal, which will be used to manage service activities. We'll cover that in the next user training. And then there's the CRM, which is really the engine of all of this, which is where all the data resides for all your stakeholders, your donors, your participants, volunteers, allied organizations, and also has all of the integrated communication tools. So in this training, we're going to be dealing with the CRM and website activities. So specifically, what are we going to be covering? We're going to go over forms, data tools, administration, and then spend some time looking at dBot, which is the databank's AI assistant. As always, if you have access to your databank, I encourage you to log in now and follow along with me as I'm going through the various points within the databank tool. And here we go. Let's start. Okay, so here we are in the demonstration database. Again, this is member organization sample, a data bank that we've set up specifically to use for these trainings. It is set up and structured in the same way as your data bank is. So let's start by looking at forms. And forms are web pages that are set up for you to collect information in various ways to input into your data bank. So forms is right here. We'll click on that. And you can see that this data bank has already been set up with some sample forms. When you get ready to get set up on the data bank, we will be working with you to set up forms for you. Your system will come preloaded with a donation form, a subscription form, and a calendar form, which is used for meetings and events registration. So let's start with the donation form. Now we have 3 different donation forms in here to illustrate some different ways that a donation form could be set up for you. Let's take a look first at this first donation form. Here we go with this page, and you can see your logo would go up here. The copy that goes in the top here is all configurable by you. The donation amounts that show up here, again, are all configured specifically to your desires. As you can see here, this has monthly sustaining contributions, which is always a good thing to have. We've seen over the years that people who make monthly contributions average significantly higher in their overall contributions than those that make one-time contributions. As we scroll down here, you'll see fields that are in here. Now, we need to have certainly first name, last name, and address, including zip, in order to process the contribution. In addition, we ask for email. That's a required field. That's a way to help identify if this person is already within your data bank. And you can see down here, there's a couple options for making payments. Your form could include credit card, check, and or ACH transactions, an option. If the donor selects credit card, you can see that the credit card fields show up. There's a checkbox here, which we encourage you to have, which will allow the donor to increase their contribution to cover your credit card processing fees. Check is another option here, and that simply is to notify you that this person is going to send it a check for this payment. Now, a couple things about these donation pages. So again, this is one example of a donation page. A couple things about donation pages is you can certainly embed a donation page within your website. and that's perfectly fine. However, what we're seeing, what the trend has been for the last several years, is to have a standalone donation page like you see here. And the primary reason for that is it makes it easy for your donation form to be mobile friendly. Again, the statistics show that the majority of people coming to your website, interacting with your website in whatever way, are doing so on their phones. So if you have a donation form, it should certainly be mobile responsive. By having a standalone donation page, which can be branded, of course, to look like your organization, this allows for these forms to be mobile friendly. Okay, so that's one example of a donation page. Let's go back here and pull up a different one. Now here, this is one that actually uses multiple pages. So the donor would come here, they'd select one. By the way, you can decide in your form what you want the default contribution amount to be. And you hit continue, then it asks for the information. You hit continue, goes to the next page. This is a good form, especially if you want to collect additional information from people as they're making contributions. And then the third one, which we'll take a look at here, is what we call the simple donation form. This is really nice because it has everything on one page. The donor doesn't have to submit a couple of times in order to complete the donation. So they just select the amount. They can make this monthly. They can enter in another amount if they wish to, put in their information. You can see down here now we've got options on this form for credit card, check, and bank account. So if somebody wants to do an ACH transaction, makes it really easy for them to input their routing number and their account number and then submit the payment. All right, so there's 3 samples of donation forms. We will set up a donation form for you. Our team will work with you to help you decide which type of form you want to have, and we'll work with you to configure this form as well. If you do want to embed this form in your website, you can certainly do that via an iframe. That's always an option. So just let us know how you want to do that. Okay, so there we go. That's looking at uh, donation forms. Now let's look at a sign-up form. And the sign-up form is a form to allow people to your website to say which kind of communications they'd like to receive from you. So you can see here we have a full slate of fields in here. You don't need to have that. At minimum, though, we suggest you have a first, last name, and an email because that's the primary way they're going to be contacted. We also suggest putting a mobile phone on the subscription form. As I've mentioned in previous trainings, if someone, as a nonprofit, if someone gives you their mobile or cell phone number, that automatically opts them in to receiving text communications from you. The federal government has made it so nonprofits don't need to have a separate opt-in process to send out text communications. Just the act of somebody giving you their cell phone number means they have opted in to receive those communications from you. Now down below here, you'll see different types of communications, and these are subscriptions, publications that have been set up within your data bank that you would like people to subscribe to. And so this gives them the option to select which communications they want to receive from you. They can then hit continue. Now, if somebody doesn't want to get any communications from you for some reason, but they just want you to have their name, they can do that as well. And as always, whatever someone subscribes to, they always have the option to unsubscribe anytime you send a communications out to them. Okay, so that's a subscription form. Again, that will be set up for you. Working with our team, we'll set that up for you, and it's available for you to put on your website or have as a standalone page, such as this one is. All right, let's let's look then at the final form here, and this is the meeting and calendar form. Now, this page is usually integrated to your website. via an iframe. Again, our team will work with you, with your web folks, to make sure this happens. All of the colors, the logos, those types of things can all be configured specifically to match your website. You can see here we've got a couple of meetings listed on this calendar. So if somebody comes to your website and clicks on the events link and they comes here, they can see what events are available for them to sign up for. If they want more information, they just click on an event. It'll give them more detail. Again, this is all information that's configured in the meetings and events module, which was discussed in a previous training. This is all information that you input into the meetings and events module when you set up the event. Again, here are the various fields that are part of the registration. Now in this one, only first, last name, and email is required. You can change that. You can require them to put in address fields or whatever fields you want to have in there as well. And then once they hit submit, they're taken to another page that says that they've successfully registered, and they'll receive an email communications with the information about the event that they've just subscribed to. You can see we have a calendar here. The calendar identifies what days there are events, of course, what is the current date, and then what day there are events are the highlighted with the white date numbers. And if you schedule out, I mean, you can schedule out this form right here will show 6 months into the future. We could increase that if you want us to do that as well. All right, so that's your meeting and calendar event form. As always, I want to point out some things that we do, of course, have regularly scheduled user trainings. Any of you are free to come to our website, look at what the schedule is here. We have a whole series starting in the beginning of April. This, by the way, is our calendar form because we use the data bank, of course, ourselves to manage registrations for various activities. And if we scroll down here, you'll see that we have a session here on Form Builder, Understanding Forms. I want to point that out because you are certainly able to create additional forms if you so choose to, just by clicking on the plus button up here. It'll bring up a form to start creating your form. You can see we have a lot of templates already set up here to help you set up those forms. And then you can just go through the various process steps of doing this. I'm not going to go into it now, but you can certainly sign up for this training April 22nd and find out more information on how to set up and manage your own forms. In addition, in the support center here, which I've shown a few times, is a area for the form builder. You click on that and you see there's numerous articles in here which will help you understand the form tool and how to build forms and different ways that you can use the form tool. All right, so that's the form builder. Yeah, let's now go on to taking a look at data tools. So there's a number of data tools in here. Again, I'm not going to go through all of them. There's additional training videos specific to these data tools. There's just a couple that I want to cover. And the first one is this duplicates. Now, any database, no matter how good it is going to, as you use it, is going to create duplicates. There's just too many variabilities between people's names, how they spell their addresses, if they're using the same email address, that it's going to happen that duplicates are going to be created in your data bank. Now, when we import your initial information, we do as much as we can to identify duplicates and merge them together prior to import. But even then, there are some that we're not going to be able to call on because they might be, one record might have Jim Smith and the other one will have James Smith. and there's not any address information. So there are some that you will need to make the call. You know your volunteers and participants better than we do. So when you first come into your data bank, I encourage you come here to data tools, to duplicates, and run a duplicate check. The first thing you do is identify what criteria you want to do the duplicate check on. You can see here there's several different ways to do that. You hit find, and then it will show down below here records that have been identified as potential duplicates. And there's several ways, again, that you can merge these records together. As you can see here, we've got two records, test participant, test volunteer. Obviously, these are ones we said. And the reason that it identified them as duplicates is because they have the same email address. But they're not the same record. So I'm not going to merge those together in this test system. So spend some time looking at the duplicate check function. You can see this information here provides some additional information specific to duplicates. And I do believe we have a training also focused on duplicate management as well. I just encourage you to, as a regular part of using your data bank, maybe put it on your calendar once a month to spend 10 minutes uh, looking for duplicates through this duplicate check function and merging records together. It's really going to save you a lot ongoing if you manage duplicates on an ongoing basis. All right, so that's the duplicate and merge function built into the data bank under data tools. And then the second thing I'm going to show you is export. So now, actually, let's first thing we need to do is to do a search. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to pull up. Let's just look for all the participants. So first step in doing an export is to select the records you want to export. And you can see here, I did a selection on participants, and let's say for some reason you want to export these records to use them in some other way outside of the data bank. Once you have your selection, you go to Data Tools, you go to Export. You can name the file, give it some additional descriptions. You identify which fields in these records you want to export. Do you want to export their donation or transaction histories, contact preferences? Are there additional related data, for instance, their service information and their participant record, maybe their evaluation record? So you just select which fields you want to export, and then you identify the type of export you want. The two options are a comma delimited or a tab delimited text file, and then hit the download. And the system in the background will compile that information, will create the download for you. And then once the download is ready for you to actually download, you'll get an email notifying you that that's the case. In addition, you can just click to the download link here under data tools, and the download will be listed here. Now we don't have any in here right now. So again, any of your data is available for you to export at any time. This is your data. You are free to do what you want to with it. So we make this available for you to export if you need to. For example, if you're going to do you do a hard copy newsletter and you need to uh, export a list to send to a mail shop, uh, easy way to do it here is to use this export tool. Select the people you want to mail to, do an export, then you can just send that file right to the mail shop and they can deal with it there. All right, there's some other tools in here, kind of more advanced tools that allow you to make some changes and mass updates to information in your data bank. I'm not going to go through those. There are support articles that talk about some of those as well. All right, so let's go on. Let's talk about some administrative functions. Now, the administrative link is only going to be available to users who have that level of access into the system. So if you're not an administrator, you're not going to see this. If you're an administrator, you're going to have access to this. I'll just run through a couple of these functions very quickly. The first one is user accounts. And this is where you administrators can manage user accounts for your organization. You can add a user account. If you say you have a new staff person that comes on board and you want to give them access, you can modify existing user accounts. You can identify permissions for each user account if you click on this permission link. Very easy to just go through all the different areas within the system to give access to a particular user or not. There's different levels of access you can also give. If you want somebody to be able to read and write but not delete, or just read information but not do anything else, you can do that as well. So this is how administrators will manage user access into your organization's data bank. Second tool I want to show you here is order services. Now, the data bank, since we've started out, one of the services we provide to clients is different ways to enhance, update the data in their data bank. And so this will show a list of various services that you can order right here within your data bank. If you're doing direct mail, we can run an NCOA, National Change of Address process for you, and not only run it, but then update your information in your data bank with that information. We can append political districts. Well, you can read through all of these, some of the things that we can do. For instance, we do email appends and phone appends all the time for clients. We do email verification processes, which if you have a large email list and you're doing regular emails out, probably a good thing to run through, at least on an annual basis, is to verify the email addresses in your database so you're sure that the email is deliverable, that you're not going to run into spam complaints and those types of things. So this is a page for you to look at if you want to do some type of enhancement or modification of the data within your data bank. That's under administration. All right, so there we've covered forms, some of the data tools, some of the administrative stuff. The last thing I want to do here is talk a bit more about dBot. I mentioned this when I was talking about PowerMail and the communication tools, but this little icon up here is dBot. dBot is our AI assistant that we've built within the data bank. It's using OpenAI's AI engine. OpenAI is the company that created ChatGPT and was really the leader in AI tools in the marketplace. We use their AI engines to run dBot. One of the great things about dBot, of course, is that it's built within the data bank, so it's within the security of your data bank. It's not an external tool that you need to go use like ChatGPT or Gemini or any of those types of things. So what can you do with dBot? Well, you can do create text copy for emails, for blog posts, for your web page, whatever you want to do. You can also use it to do research because it does access the internet. So check that out. You can do visuals with it. You can create drawings, paintings, pictures, those types of things. Again, for various stakeholder communications, that type of thing. And we do have trainings on dBot. We've got some coming up in April you want to check out. There's also some videos already in the support center talking about dBot and the various things you can do. One thing I want to show you here is the query function. So of course we talked about search before and the ability to search any aspect of data that's in your system. Well, dBot can do that as well, and actually can do it in a little faster fashion. So for instance, let's say I want to see a list of, let's see, No, let's do this. All right, so donors who've given $50 or more since 2023. Let's see what we got come up with here. There isn't very many donation records in here. So you can see that it pulled up 10 entries. Now, some of these are multiples. Here's my record because I've been putting in various contribution amounts in there. So it doesn't just pull up each individual, it pulls up each of their contributions as well within this. So it's a quick way to save some steps on the search process. And then there's a lot of different things that you can do with this. One of the main things you can do with this is make this into a search, your current selection of records. You can also download this list from right here. Just I encourage you, please spend some time looking at dBot, checking it out. Then the next thing is data analysis. I'm not going to go into that because it gets more involved, but again, we do have a training next month talking specifically about data analysis, and this is where you can run reports. I mean, it's really a very powerful tool. Excuse me. All right, so that's dBot. Just to recap here, we've we've covered forms, data tools, administration, and the dBot AI assistant. As always, encourage you to spend time in our support center. Sign up for those trainings that we have on a regular basis. They're really going to help you. And more than anything, uh, just spend some time working with the data bank. Don't worry about making errors or any of those types of things. You're not going to break anything. Just try it out. And of course, if you have questions, feel free to send us a support request or an email. We're happy to help you out however you may want. So thank you. Again, client support at the data bank is a great email to use if you have some questions. All right, take care. Bye-bye.